Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm the Artistic Director of the Bristol Improv Theatre. We are the first dedicated space to improvisation in the UK. We might be just 3 years old, but in that time we've not only become a home for improvisation in the city, but also a platform for some of the most exciting shows in the UK and beyond. Like all theatres, we closed our doors in March because of the event. But that hasn't stopped us from live streaming shows every weekend. We want to continue to bring a bit of laughter, music, and joy into your homes for as long as possible. A lot of people are working very hard behind the scenes to make this happen, and they deserve to get paid. So if you are able, please donate this evening to the stream. All the money you donate will be split between the Bristol Improv Theatre, Wilby Films, and the artists whose work you're enjoying. We can't wait to welcome you back at the theatre, where with your support, we will keep the doors open for years to come. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome. You are watching live Radio Cupid with her,
DJ Hart, and her,
DJ Broken.
It's Saturday night, it's 8 p.m, and we are your lovable agony ants zooming in straight from our warm homes, ready to give you all the love and dating advice you need in this time.
We are here to celebrate and explore love in all its forms.
Platonic love.
Romantic love.
Iridescent love.
Subtle love.
Aggressive love.
Visceral love.
The kind of love that you have for your PhD after 4 years of pushing through.
The kind of love that you have for just being called a doctor now and people have to call you that.
Oh, the kind of love you have for the person who, when someone's like, is there a doctor? Says, yes, I'm a doctor, and goes and saves or someone's life or delivers a baby.
The kind of love that you may have for yourself going, I'm a doctor. Not that kind. I'm a doctor of English literature. I can't do anything in this situation.
But as a doctor of the arts, you try to deliver that baby anyway, using your confidence and communication skills.
Love in all its forms, because don't we need it now more than ever?
Oh, yes. And tonight we're going to explore what it really means to love at a time when it's illegal to snog.
Yeah, love at 2 meters is the theme of tonight's show and just our lives generally. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about working from home, but what does it mean to love from home? How have you been getting on with that, DJ Hart?
Well, thanks for asking, DJ Broken. You see, because my situation is slightly different to what it was when we last tuned in to solve other people's love problems. I did spend 3.5 months living and working in 2 rooms with my significant other. If there's a test for love, we definitely passed it, and we did really well. But now here I am back at my usual home, and I'm seeing what love is like at 2 meters.
Mm-hmm. And how are you finding that?
Well, you know, it's good. We're working on it. I do miss some of the more contact-based elements of the. But you know, it's not all about that. Yeah, the love form, as it's known. I obviously the emotional side is very important. I could do with 1 or 2 more poems, maybe.
Yeah.
1 or 2 more romantic gestures. We're going to look at some romantic gestures in this episode tonight. Actually, maybe they're inspiration.
How much of this show is going to be a thinly veiled invitation towards your significant other to do things for you?
Oh no, DJ Broken, do you really think I would use a Bristol Improv Theatre live stream show as a way of convincing my significant other to do more romantic gestures?
The last time we did this show live in the theatre, you did try and get him to propose to you, so...
What do you like? No, look, so I've been learning survival techniques, like in the park when we meet up at 2 meters. We've learned how to make love with our eyes.
That sounds very intimate, but you are doing it right now. You're doing it. What's happening to me?
Did you feel that?
I felt something. Yeah, definitely.
Love. You just got loved. You just got
Whoa.
loved.
Are you allowed to do that?
And how about you, DJ Broken? How's it going at your end?
Well, thank you for asking, DJ Hart. My situation has also changed. The last time that we spoke here and solved other people's love problems whilst largely ignoring our own, I was, I think, 4 weeks into a 6-week stint of complete solitude in my house, as you know, as I was. That has now come to an end after a while, after pouring all of my energy into my tomato plants, which, by the way, are doing really well.
I'm really glad to hear that. I'm sure the viewers at home were like, how are DJ Broken's tomato plants? We heard a lot about that.
Then they wake up every morning and they're like, well, my tomato plants are doing fine, but I have not had an update from my favourite radio host, so I don't even know how I'm supposed to enjoy them. Anyway, eventually I did decide to choose one of my 100-strong international harem of lovers to come and join me in lockdown to while away the hours together.
How did you pick like one of your many lovers? Was there like a lottery system?
I'm glad you asked. So first there was like one big game of Uno that everybody had to play, and that whittled it down after a while. Then there was a betting round, which really tested everybody's nerves. Then we just went to gift giving, which I came out really well from, and eventually I just had to flip a coin. But I'm very pleased with how it's worked out. I'm
really glad. You really know how to play love like as a game of chance. We could all learn. Which
it is, I think, for everyone. It's just fully embracing that is key.
Whatever your situation is at home, viewers, we know everyone's in different situations. That's where myself and DJ Broken are. But wherever you are, we hope tonight will be a warm, loving hug for you as we explore and try to solve some of your problems.
So here is an invitation for you at home to send us your love problems. You can either put them in the Twitch chat, or you could send a whisper via Twitch to the Bristol Improv Theatre, and they will anonymously pass on your love problems to us. We are here to solve them. And of course, if you have any love shout outs that you want to send out for special people in your life and your lockdown, we will be issuing love shout outs to people throughout the show.
And later we're going to be reviewing some gestures, but there's also a chance to ask us, your DJ host, to do a romantic gesture, aka via a improvised love poem for someone special in your life. So think about that. Maybe if there's someone special in your life that you want to do a romantic gesture for, just think about, a fun way to do that. It could be through some DJ hosts, or it could be, I don't know, sending them flowers. I don't know. That's just one of many ideas.
That was actually how I picked my lover to bring to my home. Sent me flowers.
Oh.
With a T.S. Eliot quote.
Oh. That is beautiful.
Just showing off now.
Beautiful. T.S. Eliot has come up a lot on the Bristol Improv Theatre Twitch shows. People think we have a thing going on, aren't they?
We've already got one suggestion in from the chat. Dating apps to find love, says, hi, I'm Laura B. Yay or nay?
I'm a fan of apps. It's just it's not always the best way to find love in the kind of deep soulful, but it can be.
Well, my last partner, who I was with for 4 years, I met over the popular dating app Tinder. I think it's as much a matter of chance as anything. You are just as likely to meet someone that you like on an app as in real life. I think the difference is, in life, you get thrown together with people who might know other people or have similar interests, because you might meet them through your interests, but you won't know whether they're single or whether they're looking. Whereas on a dating app, everybody's single and looking, and the other stuff is more variable. But I always think that my rule with dating apps was that you shouldn't talk more than like 3 times on the app before you just agree to meet up in person. Otherwise, you get to know someone via text, and then they're really different in real life. You fall in love with this different version of them that you've constructed around the way that they communicate via message. And some people are awful at messages. Like, I think I'm quite bad at messages.
Likewise. I primarily, most of my significant partners I've met in real life, mostly through friends and through luck, and sometimes going to 70th birthday parties, but that's a story for another time.
You don't want to go into that anymore. You don't want to clarify anything about
to clarify, they're not over the age of 70.
Or or even around the age of 70, just
or even around. They're young. Not
that there's anything. Is there anything wrong with that?
It depends on the context, doesn't it? Depends. Or age is all about how you think. Age is all about how you think. But one thing I did want to say is, I agree with you. I have this theory around you only really click. Theory is based in science. We're attracted to people who have different immune systems to us, and I don't think you know that through messaging. You might know let me find out if you share the same interests and if you have a chat. But like you say, couple of messages, meet them, see if your immune systems get on. Otherwise, get out there.
Good opening bid via Tinder or Hinge, whatever you're using at the moment. Have you had tonsillitis in the last 6 months? Do you suffer from aggressive hay fever? I once had a partner who had perennial hay fever.
My current partner is allergic to everything, and I'm not allergic to anything. Therefore, mismatched immune systems. I think that's where our attraction comes from.
You know, with my last partner, the one I was with for 4 years, I'm allergic to cats, and he really wanted a cat and would occasionally bring up that we should get a cat. And every time I had to say, I love cats and I want to, but I just can't because I'll just be ill all the time. And he always sort of sneakily, secretly forgot or just didn't store that information. Anyway, now that we are separated and still very good friends who hang out very often, he has a cat and I have to take lots of antihistamines if I go to his flat.
There we go. There we go. We've got a few more questions coming in. Mobile Beard Unit asks, which are there more types of, doctors or loves? Great question. I feel like that is
okay, here's what I would say. There are as many different doctors as there are people, and there are as many different lovers as there are people.
That's beautiful. And Worlds of Confusion says your international harem of lovers is now their life goal.
I would recommend it. I've directed my efforts towards little else in the last 10 years, so I would absolutely recommend it. Oh, my mate says she can't tell if she fancies a boy until she sniffs him. Maybe that's immune system. I was literally thinking about this today.
Yeah.
I think you know if you fancy someone if they smell really good.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's the immune system link.
Is it?
Yeah, and I've also read, people who menstruate, listen up. If you're on contraception, aka the pill, or anything hormonal that's altering your body, and you get into a relationship, pre-warned, when you stop taking that pill, you might reprogram and might be no longer attracted to your partner. I don't want to scare anyone. It's in a book that I can get.
She's getting it.'s gone to get it now. She's got it to hand, and it's
Period Power by Maisie Hill. I'd really recommend it, but
not sponsored by Period Power by Maisie Hill, but we will make a recommendation.
Hormones are powerful. They're powerful things, and when we alter them, it can do it.
Well, I had heard of a marriage counselling service where one of the first they make couples do a little questionnaire at the start to work out whether they're sort of beyond helping, which is pretty damning, isn't it? And one of the questions they ask is whether you still like the smell of your partner, because I had read that the human brain actually evolved around the sense of smell. It is the first and most primordial sense that we have, and so it's really deeply linked with those feelings of belonging and love and connection, and whether something just feels right. And so if your partner kind of stinks to you now, you don't like the smell of them, it might be over. Anyway, enjoy that one.
There we go. So I wonder, hey DJ Broken, I think we all could do with some advice, right? We could all do with some advice. Sometimes I think we need advice from people who've been dating maybe for a really, really long time, right? So
maybe someone we'd met, for example, at a 70th birthday party. I don't know.
Maybe, or older. Maybe a 90th birthday party. We actually found some advice from some elders, didn't we?
We did. They are from the Waratah Lodge in Australia, and we saw their advice via the social media channel Facebook.
You sounded quite sponsored by Facebook then.
We are definitely not sponsored by Facebook.
No. But it was the Waratah Lodge, wasn't it? It was
from Orbost Regional Health, the Waratah Lodge.
Yes.
Roz, can we see the photos, please?
AKA Cupid.
Yes.
Cupid's helping us out with. Here we go.
So here's some dating advice from Barb, age 90. Pick someone with a good outlook on life.
Oh, that's lovely.
I feel like that's very, very strong advice. Someone who's positive makes you see things in a different way. That's what I look for.
Yeah. Can we go to the next one? Beryl, 86. Always be respectful. Treat them how you would want to be treated. That's beautiful.
That's excellent advice. Caitlin Moran wrote a article about how you know when you've met the love of your life, which I really enjoyed. And one of them is that you like how they smell. So it's backed up by not only science but Caitlin Moran. And another one was that you're really polite with them, which I think runs counter with what we think. But you meet someone, you value their opinion, you respect them so much that you find yourself being like Victorian formal because you just really want to get it right.
Yeah, I understand respect is one of the key factors to long-lasting relationships. Respect. So you can disagree and have different interests, but as long as you respectfully.
Yeah.
Can we go to the next one?
Apparently, couples who have been together for up to 5 years say the most important thing in a relationship is communication. And then couples who have been together for 10 years or longer start to change their answer and say that it's about respect or trust. So it's less about being able to talk about every single little thing, but it's more about just knowing at their core that even if you disagree and piss each other off, that person is just a good person.
Yeah.
Believing that.
I really respect people who watch their partner's shows and support them online. I'm just saying that really. So
Joan, age 75, says expect your date to be polite to you. If not, walk away.
Yes, Joan. I love
powerful advice. Absolutely.
Can we go to the next one?
Away from a rude date?
Oh, have I? Oh, great question, Broken. Can I call you Broken, like without the DJ?
Oh, it's fine. We're at that stage.
I have walked away from dates I found so. But I don't think I've actually been on a rude date. I don't think but I have broken things off when I was like, oh, you know. Yeah. I don't think I've actually been like, you are being rude to me. And I would love to throw my drink in someone's face one day.
I've never been on a date with anyone I've been on a number of awkward dates where the person is kind of accidentally a bit rubbish. The worst date I've ever been on was when the guy took out a guitar and started tuning the guitar during the date.
Were you out?
We were in a pub garden. It was really weird. And then he started dropping the S-bomb, and then I sort of said, I don't think that you should really call women sluts. And then he was like, oh no, you don't understand, like she just was. And then I was very young. I think I was like 20 at the time, so I was just like, okay. And then we never ever spoke ever again.
Yeah.
So I was awful.
I also had a date.
Tom, age 87.
Treat your girl like.
Sorry, go on.
It's okay. It's just the guitar thing. I did have a person I was dating get his guitar out and sing at me for like 25 minutes, but like with no explanation.
See, I was dating a girl for a while who was a singer-songwriter and was like incredibly talented, and I'd been to see her play, and I got like a year previously and gone up afterwards and been like, you're so amazing, I love you. And then found out later that she was bi and was like, oh my God, this is the best day of my life. And then we started dating. And then at one point she did serenade me, which was kind of like exciting for a bit. And then at one point I went, oh, is that Paolo Nutini? And she went, that was Bill Withers. I don't think I've ever seen someone look so crossed in my life. Like such a switch from like, I'm doing this really cool thing for you to like, you don't appreciate it at all.
I love
and
that.
Around, I think she'd asked me what I'd been listening to, and I far too honestly was like, oh, honestly, like a lot of Frozen, because the Frozen film had just come out and I got so obsessed with it and it got really stuck in my head.
You can only be honest, you know, Broken. I just to clarify, my current partner does have a guitar and does often sing to me, but it's less in the way that the date I was referring to was. It was like performing at rather than them just enjoying the. You know, there's a difference for me. Okay.
Yeah. How do we feel about this advice? Treat your girl like a princess.
I'm just a bit worried about Tom, to be honest.
Tom looks like a Renaissance painting, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm like too distracted by Tom to really process.
I'm always a bit medium about this because it feels quite old-fashioned to me.
Yeah.
To think, but then I think, I don't know how I would feel if a woman was saying treat your man like a prince. I tend to think we should all just treat each other as citizens under a free government, but maybe that's just
down with the monarchy.
Next slide, Cupid. Joyce.
Yes, Joyce. I love Joyce. I love her hairpin. I love her attitude that you can just see coming through. And maybe I'd go on a date with her. I'm just saying.
More on that later. Should we have the next slide, please, Cupid?
June,
age 87 says, don't.
Just don't date.
Just don't.
There we go.
It's not for everyone, and it doesn't need to be.
We have a question from Joe Torra that is, where did he hide the guitar?
Okay, great question, Joe. So he brought the guitar on the date because he was going to band practice after the date. He also brought a small amp. I think it just got awkward, and later he brought it out. He did also restring it, which I thought was like particularly rude.
During the date?
I think it just got, we'd sort of been talking for a while. It started really well. This was where I learned it was my first ever Tinder date, and it was where I made my philosophy that you should not talk to someone for too long over Tinder before you actually go on a date, because we were speaking for a couple of weeks and then met up, and it was dreadful. So bad.
There you go. But we often learn a lot from the mistakes. Thank you, June. Cupid, are there any more slides? Oh, make sure you have a loaded wallet.
Oh, Eileen. I mean, I can't agree with this advice, but good on you, Eileen. You do you, Eileen.
Amazing. Thank you, Cupid.
Thanks for that, Cupid. I think it's actually time for our first love problem. Yeah. So this one comes from an early bird. Now listen up, DJ Hart, and tell me what you think of this one. I'm an early bird, and my husband of 1 year is a night owl. Ever since he started working from home, he's shifted his hours. He goes to bed at 3 a.m. and wakes up at 10 or so. Meanwhile, I've still been going to work, and I like mornings anyway, so I go to bed at 10 p.m. and I wake up at 5:30 a.m. or so. That is so early. We share a bed only a few hours per night. It's similar on weekends too. I wake at 7, he'll probably sleep until noon. Normally we don't mind having the alone time, but lately I've just started getting lonely as a result. I've tried staying up later on weekends, but fall asleep by 11 or so. He doesn't want to shift his hours since he's mostly active at night and uses the time for anime and hobby projects and stuff. Things I wouldn't really want to do with him anyway. This also gets in the way of our sex life. He tends to want sex late at night, and I'm like, hell no, I want to sleep. Similarly, in the mornings, he's not at all interested. So we really only have sex like a couple of times a month. Most of the time, our sexuality is alone and private. It feels weird in a marriage, honestly. Should we try to come up with some sort of compromise, or should we embrace that we just have different circadian rhythms? Yours, early riser, Ealing.
Okay.
What do you think, DJ Hart?
I'm not gonna lie, there were so many timings in the first 20 seconds that I got lost, but as I understand it,
I've prepared a diagram for you with all of the I haven't. It's like a train rotor. Basically, it sounds like they're never really awake at the same time. Like, I know other people in relationships who've had this problem because they work shift, or they, just have different body clocks. I used to have this with my partner because he was a teacher and would wake up at 6 a.m. and always be in bed at 10, whereas I taught most evenings or did shows, and so I would stay in late and go to bed late. Wow, I just broke then.
You are broken.
I'm buffering, yeah, DJ buffering.
DJ buffering.
We just kept weekends. We just made weekends really important. I think the problem here is that it doesn't sound like she's spoken to him or said to him that there's a problem.
No, and so thanks for writing in, early bird. I think it's like you said, you made weekends for you and your partner. I think having a conversation with him would be the first point of call, and seeing if you can arrange some kind of date night that is your or date afternoon. And I think weekly would be really strong, because I know you get very busy when you're married, and I don't know if they've got kids. Doesn't
say anything about kids. 1 year married. They're in the first year of marriage, so they haven't learned the 5-year communication rule, followed by the 10-year respect rule. So maybe this is us telling you, learn to communicate, because the thing about embracing different circadian rhythms is that it's okay to make peace with things that you can't or won't change. But if you're lonely and you haven't told your husband, then that's information that he should hear and have.
Absolutely. Yeah. We hope that's helped you, early bird. And audience, if you have any suggestions, let us know on the chat. We are the experts, but you also we want different perspectives.
And what's made us experts, other than our own meandering experience, which you might share, and the fact that we both like reading lots of blogs and books about relationships and vulnerability.
Absolutely. So should we go on to our dating stories segments? I always wish we had a little jingle there. Dating stories, dating stories, dating stories, and dating stories. I was quite proud of that. So I've been doing some nosing around, Broken, and talking to lots of people. Well, we've had people write in, obviously.
Of course. The inbox is overflowing.
It's full. I had to take this big wad of letters and sort through them and whistle out what I thought were the most, but the ones that I thought might relate to our listeners. These are stories about love at 2 meters. And I've kind of whittled them down to one that was a really lovely one and one that was a little awkward one. So should we start with the awkward one, which was Pissed Off in Preston wrote in about a story where she went on a Zoom speed dating scenario, right? And met a guy, and they carried on messaging. I think they went on maybe one more Zoom date. Then he ghosted her, and if you don't know what ghosting is, listeners, that's when you just cut off communication with someone, and it's a fun thing that happens when you're out in the dating world. And then next thing she knew, she read a blog written by him about the experience of Zoom dating that referenced her in detail, including descriptions of her hair and what she was like. And she came off quite well in the article, but she was like, why did you ghost me? And why did you then write a blog about me?
No respect. I mean, she's dodged a bullet there. It's quite an unfortunate way to find out about it. But I've learned that people who, in my long and illustrious career of dating, people who are afraid to have awkward conversations are not people that you want to build a life with. You don't always have good news for people. You don't always have good things to tell them, but you do need to tell them. And ghosting and refusing to engage with the awkward parts of life is, I think, a form of cowardice and demonstrate an avoidant personality.
Yeah. Wow. That was so beautifully articulated. Yeah. Something I've been practicing, something I think that's good to practice when I've done app dating, as we were talking about earlier, is when you are not interested, maybe you've only messaged them a bit, or you've gone on if you've met them in person, I think it's polite to just message and practice the ability to say, hey, lovely to meet you, but it doesn't quite feel like the right thing for me. All the best. Yeah. And at least you're letting them know, so they're not like, oh, should I message this person? Should I not? What are they thinking? I'm like, it doesn't take that much effort to do a polite.
Where do you think the line is there? I think if you've been talking to someone a little bit, and you've had a couple of messages back and forth, like, who are you? Are you a murderer? What's your deal?
The classic opening questions
that we all ask, but no one's actually said anything about meeting up yet. Then it's okay if you sort of drop off, because a lot of people have several conversations on the go, and sometimes you just don't carry on. But then if that person was to send you a follow-up message being like, how was your day? Then if you're not going to keep talking to them, you need to check in and be like, hey, sorry, I'm dating, or whatever. Yeah. But and then obviously if someone says, do you want to go for a drink? You can't ignore that. You've got to say whether you do or you don't, right? Yeah. But up until that point, it's okay to slightly drop off, and sometimes we all do it and it's allowed. She said after having quite aggressively denounced people with avoidant personalities. Tell me what
I think you're right. I think it's the line, because it's a couple of messages and no like shall we meet up. Ignoring a shall we meet up is I think if you can practice doing the kind doesn't feel quite right, I think that will be healthy for everyone. I was also thinking, I once was messaging a woman who I didn't get back to her for 2 days, and then she just removed me from her match. And I thought she was quite cool.
Yeah.
And she'd sent me a long reply, but I hadn't replied in 2 days, and then it was like.
She might have just been doing a clear out, or she might have just deleted the app. You never know. I once, forgot to reply to a woman for a couple of days, but had every intention of sort of doing that at some point, and we had been quite slow back and forth. And then she sent me a message being like, "Don't worry, I don't mind that you've ghosted me." And I was like, I did not mean to do that. I didn't.
That's quite
Yeah.
It's quite intense, isn't it? Oh look, we've got some advice from the chat on the problem. That was the different schedules. Rosalina Robbins says, shag someone else, which I have been thinking actually.
With consent, if that's if the conversation that they have leads to, should we open our relationship and have sex with other people, and they both want to do it, by all means, but you can't just go and do that. You can't just be like, I'm sorry, you were asleep. What was I supposed to do? Wake you up and talk to you? No, I just went up and had sex with someone else during a pandemic. Probably
I love
not.
Joe Tora, who says, communicate. It's hard to read someone's mind or pick up subtle hints.
Exactly.
I read a great blog recently about I've forgotten the 2 terms for it, but there were 2 terms.
Yes, we talked about this at length. Ask and guess.
Did we talk about it on our last show?
I don't think so. I think we just talk about it a lot.
Yeah, but ask and guess culture is the idea that some people have been raised in a culture where they ask direct questions about things, and some people have been raised in a family unit where you all learn everyone's little micro ways they communicate things. So ask people are like, hey, can I go on a date with you? And guess people are like, hey, well, they don't ask people out. They're like,
are you busy on Friday?
Yes, is an excellent example of a guess. And then they both can grate on each other, because ask people are like, why aren't you being direct? And guess people are like, why are you being so direct?
Because ask people know that if you ask an outright question, you might get an outright no, whereas guess people are raised to never make someone say no.
Which I'm very much an ask person, but when I learned it, I then could understand why people found me rude in the past, and I had more empathy for guest people. Whereas I used to
brought up as a guest person and then found it very freeing to turn myself into an asked person in most situations, because I think it is possible to be a sort of hybrid of the two, where you ask something in a way that makes it very clear for guest people that they can turn you down.
Yeah, that's the thing I've learned to practice, because otherwise I just switch guest people's buttons off, because I'd be like, this is my need and my want, and I think I'm being helpful by communicating clearly, and they're like, oh, why are you being so, why?
I took a this is a fun story, I took a customer service course that got me wait for it, customer service MVQ. Be under no doubt that I'm a qualified lady, although I don't have a doctorate, just in case anyone was wondering that from the weird bit of extended chat that we did earlier, where they talked about signposting if you're going to ask questions, because English people are very affronted if you directly ask them questions. And one of the things that they said to avoid was using the word why. So instead of saying, why did you come here today, if you had to survey someone, you would say, what were your reasons in choosing this visit? Or how did you decide to come here today? You can't say, why did you come here? Because it makes it sound like they've done something wrong. So as English people, we hate being asked why.
I think that makes me want to hit my head against the desk. I think it's because I spent too long in Australia and I don't feel English and I don't understand English sentences. I'm just like, English people, get over it.
Now, speaking of English people getting over things, Imogen, DJ Hart, I think it's time for our next love problem.
Yes. Would you like me to read one?
Please do.
Okay. Adopted dog. Gosh. Okay, everyone, this is our love problem. My fiance and I have been engaged for 6 months, and recently moved in together. My fiance and my dog always got on together, playing, cuddling, etc. Recently, my fiance figured out through social media posts and quick math that I possessed this animal when I lived with someone else and can't handle that he was part of my old family. Note that I was never married or engaged prior. This was an animal adopted with a girlfriend. She now wants nothing to do with him, and as a result, I spend less time with him as well. She has even alluded to forcing me to get rid of him. Am I crazy for believing this insecurity, if overblown? Yours, Dog Love, Derbyshire. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry I laughed halfway through. I know this is one of our readers writing in, and I just want to apologize. I just got the giggles. Your problem is very serious.
It is a serious problem because it's huge. I mean, it speaks to a much wider problem. I think the problem is not the dog, unfortunately. The problem is your partner's extreme jealousy about previous relationships. The fact that anyone can get cross with a dog makes me sad already.
It depends how annoying the dog is, but they did get on before, so.
Yes. Clearly not the dog's problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just say, you just got to say it's me or the dog, really.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she's saying. And I think if he can pick her,
mm-hmm.
but he really needs to say what the hell is going on. I mean, the idea that the dog can be responsible for its.
Yeah, they need a good hard chat, and she needs to manage that insecurity.
Yeah.
100%. Hey, Broken, can I share the other dating story I found?
Please
I realized I nearly skipped over it just because I love it so much. This was a story I got from Lustful in Luton, shared the story of having watched a Bristol Improv Theatre Twitch channel. And then been browsing Twitch, kind of like, I want to look for something else. Ended up watching a different Twitch channel, kind of thought, the presenters fun, they're very relatable. Ended up messaging them. They sort of hit it off messaging. And they're now sort of like online seeing each other to the point where they even had phone sex.
Can we just cheers for phone sex?
Cheers for phone sex, friends.
Everyone at home to phone sex.
For phone sex. Also meeting people through Twitch. I love that because Twitch, I love looking. Twitch has got so many different like hobby things that you can follow. And who knows, audience, maybe you could meet someone in the Bristol Improv Theatre Twitch channel today through the chat. You never know.
You never know. We've just had an anonymous whisper piece of love problem request for advice through our channel, and it says, how does someone get past a feeling of inexperience? I assume most other people are more experienced than me and it holds me back. Is this a rational fear?
I can identify with that fear of if we're all at different levels with confidence and dating and meeting people, and I've definitely felt at times like, oh my gosh, everyone in this place seems way more confident than me. They seem to be really good at talking, and something I've found over the years, if you actually went into each of those people's heads, they're all thinking, oh my gosh, I'm really nervous, I'm really anxious. We all have moments of insecurity. And
I think that the fear, the insecurity of being inexperienced is just one insecurity, of which there are thousands that you could have in dating. So it might be the case that your partner or prospective partners or other people out there do have more experience than you. We're all on a huge scale of that. but that doesn't mean that they won't have any insecurities of their own, or that yours will in fact hold you back at all. You know, if you are a loving partner who treats the person that you're with respect and kindness and attention and curiosity, then an experience either like sexual or romantic doesn't need to hold you back.
Yeah. And I'd say if you're like, oh, I don't know, I'd say try and get out there, you know, try and go on some bad dates. Like, I think I gave myself like a little nudge when I was really nervous about it, and was like, if I have a bad day, it's a funny story that I'll one day share on Radio Cupid. I didn't know that then.
I mean, the thing is, everyone goes on bad dates. If maybe your experience is holding you back because you're afraid that you're going to go on bad dates, the fact is that you will go on bad dates. It's happened to everyone. You'll have bad dates, you have bad relationships, you'll also have good dates and good relationships. And everyone with more experience than you has had bad experiences as part of that. Like, I started dating women when I was in my sort of early 20s, and so having grown up thinking that I was straight and going on dates with boys from when I was like 11, I suddenly found myself at twice that age suddenly romantically completely inexperienced, which
dating at 11,
well, you know, like kid dating, like we went to the Glades shopping centre or went to see Aragon or something, you know, like playing at it. But that's how you learn to do things as an adult, because you play at them when you're kids. And when you don't, I think a huge part of being bisexual or a gay woman is that you didn't really get to play at that when you were younger, so you have to discover this whole other part of your identity later. So one of the things that I used to tell myself when I used to feel very inexperienced would be like, all these cool lesbian women are so much better at being lesbians than I am, and I'm just a little baby lesbian and they'll all know. Just a little insight there, is that they're dating you because they like you. They're not dating all of your previous experiences and partners. So just convince yourself that you are enough, because you are.
It is a funny thing about being bisexual is, and forgive me, tell me if I'm TMIing, but it's like learning a whole new different, not completely different, but a different social way of dating, because it does feel different dating women. And then learning a whole new anatomy, which one, you know, it's fun, it's great, but it is, you're like, oh, I've got to learn this different thing now.
I mean, I won't go into this story, but my group of friends at university used to have a lot of fun with the phrase beginner's luck. As we were all going through these experiences at a similar time.
Broken, we've had a few lovely stories in the chat. Should we have a look at the stories?
Yes, please.
We've got, hi, I'm Laurab. I heard a dating story from someone I chatted to on an app. He had met with a girl and went for a walk by a river. He thought things went well and they'd have a nice time. When he got home from the date, the woman called him up to confess her husband had been sat in their car watching the date and invited him to a threesome with them. He was understandably very annoyed it feels like there might have been more to that, but it was understandably very annoyed at the...
Yeah, that's not okay. That's absolutely not okay.
Yeah, that is deception.
I'm not going to go into how or why I know, but there is an etiquette to seeking a threesome through an app, and that, I can tell you, is not it.
Yeah.
That is not how you do that.
Be honest. If you want a threesome, just be like, look, we're looking for a threesome. Do you want to meet up? Yeah.
There are whole apps just for that. That is one of my bugbears about Tinder. If you're a woman meeting women on Tinder, and maybe if you're a man meeting women on Tinder, although I would imagine it happens less, that occasionally you get like a woman where her profile is her and you match, and then you chat, and afterwards she's like, so do you want to have a threesome with me and my boyfriend? You're like, well, maybe, but why didn't you open with that instead of waiting for for me to actually feel like I'd got to know you? And I think you need to be more direct with that stuff, because everybody's on there looking for different things, and that's okay, but some of them are so radically different. I think you should signal that early on.
Yeah.
Is the etiquette not just want a threesome? It is actually Life's a Pitch podcast. The etiquette is want a threesome, preferably bio.
But also remember people are humans. So not that I know what it's like to arrange a threesome via the internet, but remember that it's all humans, and a threesome can feel like, oh, it's just a trashy hookup, but actually you're all people, and it's much nicer if you're experimenting in that world to treat each other like humans and have a drink and chat and get to know each other, see if there's a vibe.
And the thing that I think people don't realize is that when you're in a couple, you are outnumbering the person who's joining you for a threesome. You're a team and they're not. And I don't know, maybe I have a friend who knows what it's like to be on both sides.
I think we're doing some really, we're playing up to the bisexual woman stereotype.
I know, but it's fine. It's as if we're only representing ourselves and not our entire demographic.
Not great thing. Not all bisexuals want a threesome. That's
good to know.
Yeah.
But having known someone who's been on both sides of that, like, it is weird talking to two people who either live together or see each other all the time and can talk about you, like, and you have to be aware of that.
Yeah, it can feel like a job interview.
It really can't it? And
you're like, how do you like? My friend said was like you have to impress two people on the date, not just one. You're like, I really hope they both like me.
Okay,
anyway,
so the next episode of Radio Cupid will just be the threesome special, and we'll just download everything that we've heard from our friends.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Life's a Pitch podcast says, would improv schools move you to become an ask person? And I would say, yeah. Well, improv skills are great for building your confidence. I think that relation, ask and guess requires like just developing self-awareness, but I would say improv does help build that sort of stuff. You're a bit lighter with yourself, and you can practice being a bit clearer, and happy fail, making mistakes. I mean, how did you? Because Kate, sorry, Broken, you said you were more guess and became more ask.
Yeah.
Improv helped you?
Yes, definitely. Although I find it impossible to extricate lots of improv and improv training from just growing into being an adult, because I've done it since I was 18 years old. So as soon as I moved away from home and school are really weird social and romantic environments. Like, they're not, I don't think that school, in terms of like the power dynamics of how you're all thrown together and just don't have any autonomy. Maybe I have an issue with school and the education system, who can say? But I don't think like that's a good place to figure out who you are and what your communication style is. So as soon as I moved away from home and school, I started doing improv training. So I do think that it's a big part of how I communicate and think about myself. I think actually also just being an improv teacher and working with loads of improv students, and that privilege of just seeing people open their heads and say whatever comes out, and then hearing other people respond to that and being like, I would never have thought of that, just gives you this kind of scope of how different we all are and how differently we all communicate. That's really, that's very humbling, I would say.
Audience, if you want to learn improv, the Bristol Improv Theatre has actually launched classes both online and in the park. So check that out. Maybe you'll become more ask than guess. Maybe.
When are those online drop-ins? I feel like they're every Wednesday night, maybe. Over
6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And so I believe there's one ticket left for improv in the park tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. that myself with my other hat on. So I won't be solving your love problems tomorrow afternoon, but I will be teaching
unless you ask.
Unless you ask, but ideally not in the 2 hours of the improv class. You know. Hey, should we set up Woo Your Boo? I'm just looking at the time. Broken.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did we invite submissions for Woo Your Boo and then rate some romantic gestures?
I think we should.
That's
exactly what we should do. So in the last segment of our programme, we are going to be wooing your boo in our new segment / the segment we did last time, We Woo Your Boo. So please send us in your partner's name or your loved one's name or the person that you want to woo's name, and some facts about them, like their occupation or what they like to do for fun or fun things about them, and we will make up poems to woo your boo.
Yes. So it's a lovely gesture for anyone looking for a gesture. I don't know if you want a gesture.
I swear to God, DJ Hart, if we get you sent in as a suggestion, I'm not going to do a poem for you. You're going to have to make a poem up for yourself, okay?
I'm just saying, I've got myself strawberries tonight. I got myself chocolate because I'm wooing myself. Anyway.
Cupid, I think we're ready to rate a romantic gesture.
So, audience, this is a clip from hey Hart, can you remember who we got this clip from?
Do you mean what film or the YouTube?
Hang on. Cineplex Movies YouTube channel. Thank you, Cineplex YouTube channel. Cineplex Movies YouTube channel. This is a video that we might ask Cupid to stop and start, which is top 10 romantic gestures from films. So hopefully you'll recognize a lot of these. Audience, let us know in the chat, which gestures do you like? Where we just might stop at start and just mention our favorites. Cupid, could you take it away with the first, with the film, please? There they are.
Oh, this is the night. It's a beautiful night.
I love people who share food, and for me, this is a really great example of sharing.
I love people who give me my own generous portion of food on my own plate and then leave me alone to eat it in silence.
Could you hit play, Cupid?
And we call it a bella notte.
There we go. Last meatball.
Hi.
Mark! I'm so sorry. Everyone knows diaries are just full of crap.
I know that. I was buying you a new one.
I love that you get cold when it's 71 degrees out. I love that it takes you an hour and a half to order a sandwich.
So it's always running, isn't it? There's a lot of running in romantic.
You've got to run. You've got to run through the streets. I love that one because, like, what is the gesture there? Is it her gesture in running through the streets in her pants, brave, or in humiliating, well, not humiliating, but like going into quite an embarrassing situation for him? Or is it him in already having forgiven her for calling him a rude asshole?
Oh, beautiful. Get your running shoes, lovers.
Even if someone sees you at your worst and hears you say unpleasant things, they trust and know that at your core you are a good right person.
Yeah, and that's Harry Met Sally as well, which I would really recommend as a rom-com. It's one of my favorites.
Watched it in lockdown, right at the beginning of lockdown, and I think it's like the best rom-com ever. I absolutely love it.
And you never watched it before?
I'd never seen it before, and I love that he's so decisive all the way through, and he kind of sets himself up as someone who never changes his mind and whose mind can't be changed. And then before he runs to her, you see him go back and change his mind like 3 or 4 times. Isn't that wonderful? Beautiful.
Could you hit play, Cupid?
I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
Had to be the top floor, right?
It's the best.
Not sure how I feel about this.
So what happened after he climbed up the tower and rescued her?
She rescues him right back. I will be at the state championship baseball game. I will stand on the pitcher's mound for the 5 minutes prior to the first pitch. If this man accepts my apology, I ask him to come kiss me for my first real kiss.
Should we just pause it there? I have not seen this film, so I don't know what this means. But I think if I was asking someone to accept my apology, I would not ask them to do it in public in front of thousands of people and then give me my first kiss.
I wish I could say the same, but it totally melted my heart. Like, I think personally I would hate it as well, but when I watch grand public gestures in films, and my favorite will come up soon, for some reason I'm like, oh my God, they're saying it in front of everyone. But personally I would hate that.
Yes, I mean, I haven't seen this film, so I should stop having such strong opinions about it. But the key there is, if he accepts my apology, he has to come and kiss me. That's a bit different to the one that I know that you're referencing that is coming later.
Also, she's making it very hard for herself. Like, that's a really vulnerable position she's putting herself. Like, that's massive rejection.
I think the vulnerability that she's displaying there, I think that's manipulative. But
We're going to see another running now, and with one of my favourite rom-com themes of all time, which is a Love Actually theme. Could you take it away?
This would be a very, very...
Can't take my eyes off of you.
Oh, pretty baby, don't bring me down, I pray. Oh, pretty baby, now that I found you.
Cupid, this is my favourite gesture of all time. No, film gesture. I
love it. I love it so much. The difference is that he is apologizing to her because he felt like he knows that she feels like she embarrassed herself, and so he's embarrassing himself. It's perfect.
Perfection. Thank you, Cupid. I just love that it's been Drew Barrymore twice.
That same haircut, and what is going on with that, man?
Play, please, Cupid.
When you are cold, I could be the man who grows old with you.
You're getting on that plane. You have any idea what you'd have to look forward to if you stayed here?
But what about us?
We'll always have Paris. He's looking at you, kid.
So here's looking at you, kid. One of the most overrated romantic lines of all time. Like, what does that even mean?
I actually don't know. It does sound good though. Sounds all timey and romantic.
But like, he's infantilizing her, right?
Oh, okay.
He's looking at you, kid.
I mean, I quite like Kid as a pet name. I think all pet names are a bit like Baby. That's the most infantilizing one. Chicken. That's not a human. That's an animal.
Here we go. Here's looking at you, chicken.
Oh, that's what it would be if it was set in Derby.
We'll always have the Lake District.
Yeah, we'll always have lockdown.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those. What was your favourite Broken?
Casablanca. My favourite is obviously the one from 10 Things I Hate About You. I just don't know how anyone could argue with that. My friend Maddie loves Heath Ledger so much that she once just watched that scene 7 times.
He has such deep, soulful brown eyes.
He's so wonderful.
That are beautiful. I love that scene. I would say The Wedding Singer really got me in this particular set of clips, because The Wedding Singer, the one where Adam Sandler is singing on the airplane, and when he sings I'll grow old with you, I was like that. But we have discussed today being serenaded by guitar. Is it romantic? Isn't it? I love it when my partner does it. I really do. But it's when it's like,
I was reading earlier, you know that
go on.
Oh, sorry, I spoke over because I was reading about Pretty Women earlier, because there's this kind of legend of all the different incarnations that the script went through. The script writer was really happy with how it ended up. They were just trying to write any film that would get made, and they were very pleased when it got Disneyfied and turned into this big rom-com. But originally it was going to be much grittier, and it was going to have this ending that had the pretty woman on
Julia
a bus to
Roberts.
Disneyland, sat next to her friend Kit. And Kit is really excited about going to Disneyland, and Julia Roberts is just staring out the window like, fuck my life. And it was originally meant to be about, whether it's fair or okay to show someone a whole life that they can't have, which I think is, it sounds like a much more Graduate style ending. And interesting that they both made it into this list, because as far as like big romantic gestures go, like that one in The Graduate, as far as we can tell from this open to interpretation ending, doesn't actually go that well for them.
I think
the gestures aren't all that.
I think in the film though, she does leave the wedding
She does. And then
Yeah.
they go both, this is a spoiler, but this film has been out for like 40 years now.
Gotcha.
He saves her from the wedding and she realizes it's not what she really wants, and they jump on the bus together and they're all like smiling and really excited, and then the last shot is this really long shot of them both just sitting on the back of the bus like, what did we just do? You know, because now they've had the excitement of rejecting the wedding and the tradition, but now they do have the rest of their lives together, and that is still scary. There isn't just this one disruption of the narrative. There's just the rest of the story.
That's beautiful, Broken. Hey, it's 9 o'clock. I think we should round it up with We Woo Your Boo.
Yes. Have we had any boos to woo?
Karina A has asked for one for Kurt, who likes basketball and Lord of the Rings and cooking and cares about climate change. And this is from Beth, she says. So, Kurt, if you're listening, this is a poem for you from DJ Broken. Well, no, this is a poem from Beth that we are going to deliver to you.
Kurt, when I see you, my heart does loop the loops, because you're so great at shooting basketball hoops.
When I see you, Kurt, my heart just wants to sing. You are my power. I would love to give you the one ring.
Whenever you say my name, my heart begins to throb, because the way you do that cooking on our big gas hob.
When I see you, my heart goes tick, tick, tick. You make it melt like climate change makes the Arctic.
That one's for you, Beth, for your boo, Kurt.
Mm-hmm.
We've got one for Karina 8, who likes roast potatoes. Karina, when I see you, my heart gets nice and toasty. I'd like to sit down with you with a plate of roasties.
When I'm with you, Karina, we're just in the throes of passion, like a pair of delicious mashed potatoes.
Oh, baby, when I see you, you know that it's all that. Spoon me out and cover me in loads of goose fat.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Safety is 14. You say you don't have a boo to accept yourself. You can always ask us to dedicate a poem to you. I'm so about self-love.
Please send us 3 things about yourself so that we can woo you.
Mm-hmm. They were beautiful poems. I hope you appreciated those, Kurt and Karina A. I love that they did one back and forth to each other. That was nice. That was really beautiful. Is that our time, Broken?
I think we might have time for one last problem, and I really want to do it because I especially think that you will like it, DJ Hart. So let me read out this last problem just for us to end on. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So DJ Hart, dear DJ Hart and DJ Broken, my husband and I have known each other since we were around 12, and besides an incident with his brother meddling around in our business, everything has been fine. We finally tied the knot in February, and with COVID, we'd had plenty of time together for the past few months. But here's one thing I noticed. He doesn't fart. Ever. I never paid any mind to it when we weren't spending every waking moment together, but now that we are, it's been something I can't help but notice. I've never tried to hide mine, so I wouldn't know too well about that. But it doesn't really seem like he's hiding them. He never runs off suddenly or anything. He just doesn't fart at all. I know it's such an insignificant thing, but it's been eating away at me for the past few months. Is he hiding them? Are his just quiet? Does he just not fart? I have to know. But how the hell would I ask a question like that? Yours, Flatulent from Falmouth.
Broken, you know me so well. I really did love that problem. I'm so glad we got to hear it tonight. The self-absorbed version of me was like, oh my God, is this going to be my partner that I hinted at that I want a gesture from? Have they written in with a problem?
Sorry, I just really wanted to read you the farting one.
That didn't happen. That's not, anyway, I'm fine with it. So, I love this. I'm a big farter. I think you share everything in relationships, and I don't think farts are that big a deal. But I've never actually thought about the question. Like, the most common thing you hear is people feeling embarrassed about their partner hearing or smelling their farts, right? And I guess on the first encounter is maybe you try not to fart in their face, right? But again, it all comes back to communication. Just
what I think is striking about this is that she farts in front of him.
Yeah.
I've never tried to hide mine, so I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So she's more than comfortable farting in front of him, but she's too embarrassed to ask him why he doesn't fart. Now, can we psychologically pick that apart? Because I can't get any purchase on it at all.
I think a lot of that is but a lot of, women and men grow up with strange insecurities around bodily functions. I was talking to a friend about poo shame recently, which some people are so nervous about pooing in other people's houses or in public places, they hold them in and make themselves ill, which I think is a real shame. I would say for everyone out there, if you can get comfortable with bodily functions, pooing, weeing, farting, they're all really natural, and particularly in an intimate relationship with the person, your husband, that you're spending the rest of your life with, having a chat about poos and wees might be fun. You can be like, how do you find weeing standing up? Have you ever sat down and weed? Have you ever had a really lumpy poo? Or how was your poo today? It's a good indicator of health. Do you know what I mean? It's a really good indicator of health. And if you're having mushy poos, maybe you need to eat some more fiber.
So it sounds like what you're saying to Flatulent from Falmouth is that there is a whole side of their relationship that they could be missing out on here. And if anything, she should be grateful that this particular mystery provides an opening, if you'll pardon the imagery, for them to begin this conversation where they will learn so much more about each other. And she's obviously halfway there if she is comfortable sharing her gas.
Yeah, I hope that helps you, Flatulent. We had a message from Savesty who's given us some information about them. If we want to give them a really quick 2-line poem and then wrap up, what do you think, Broken?
Amazing. So this Saves D14 is Doug. They like D&D, living in the US, and they like wakeboarding. I don't know what wakeboarding is. We will try that.
Yes. Oh, Doug, my liege, I give you my sword. I hope that you will meet me atop this wakeboard.
If there's one thing I love to watch you do, it's be on the battlefield slaying. Let me join you if you ever fancy role playing.
There you go, Doug. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for joining in from the US. We have learned a lot tonight. Audience, I want to thank you for all your interaction and getting involved with the advice and the stories. I hope some of what we said might have helped you or just made you have a little laugh. If you enjoyed tonight, you can buy a ticket, can't you, Broken?
You can indeed. You can donate to the Bristol Improv Theatre, who is running this Twitch stream. You could pay, for example, what you might feel comfortable paying for the price of a ticket, and that will be split between us, the artists, the Bristol Improv Theatre, who is running this live stream to entertain people during lockdown, and Wilby, who have been managing the live stream with all of their incredible expertise in film production. There are other ways to support the Bristol Improv Theatre and interact with us. Please do tune in to the next live streams. We are live streaming every Friday and Saturday at 8 p.m. And as DJ Hart mentioned earlier, if you would like to learn some improv, you can do that either here in Bristol by joining us for Improv in the Park. Tickets available online. That's happening every Sunday in the summer. Or you can join us on Wednesday evenings on our online drop-in from anywhere in the world. And both those tickets are available on our website or on Eventbrite.
And if you like the improv poetry this week, we're also running a special improv poetry Words That Burn session this Saturday the 15th. So do check that out. That's a special elective. And you could then start to improvise poetry for your significant other or friends.
Thank you for joining us. And that's all from Radio Cupid. Join us next time for more love problems solved. Take care.
Bye.